325, 550, 800, 1000
amps.
Amps.
1,000 amps.
Of course.
Oh my god.
Why is BMS important? Because BMS monitoring every single cell group. 72 volt as an example has 20 groups, 20 serial connections inside.
Why do they call them a smart BMS?
Because it has Bluetooth connection, so I can set each parameter of the BMS. When we have smart BMS, we connect to the BMS, it says what's wrong right away. It says it's a temperature sensor, is the temperature high for the battery, even has log file, so we can see created short circuit 3 days ago. 5 days ago created short circuit, overcharged, over discharged, all those informations BMS carry inside. Worst thing that you can do is overcharge the battery.
Battery blenders. Why don't you use battery blenders, man?
V, when are you gonna open up a merch store?
Excuse me? How often you are on our website?
You have a website?
It's on our website like 6, 7 months, 8 months already.
All right, over here we have one bike, and over here we have one charger. That charger is set for 10 amps, but over here we're charging at 2 different amp hour capacities. If you know, you know. If you don't know, well, you're about to find out. So what is up, guys and girls? I am Mystery from NYC, and if you are new to the channel, I want to welcome you. The weather out here on the East Coast is crazy. Today I woke up to 42 degrees, but that's not stopping me. I am outside and I am ready to ride. So where am I riding to today? Well, first off, take a look down here. I am rocking a Spark Cycle Works Bandit, and this Bandit has been completely modified. On this bad boy, you'll have a 4-driver controller. It is the 72680. And what's it controlling? It is controlling a 5 kilowatt motor from our boys over at Powerful Lithium. This also has 2 batteries. It has one inside of a metal enclosure, and that battery is the outvtheir battery from Powerful Lithium. It is a 72 volt, 50 amp hour battery. And up top, what do we have? We have what's called a Super Shark pack from our boys over at Powerful Lithium. That gives me range for days. So I am really looking forward to how many miles we can cover with this setup. And speaking of dual batteries, that brings us to the topic of this video. I want to get into why we use a BMS and just how important they are. So where are we off to? We are off to visit the boys over at Powerful Lithium, so we can get an explanation from our boy V. So without any further ado, let us get into this one. Ready? I am here at Powerful Lithium. Okay. All right, so I charged the other day at 12 amps.
Okay.
And I have the Bandit. The Bandit has 2 batteries on it. It's got the outvtheir on the bottom, and it has a Super Shark pack on the top. I noticed that when you hook up your amp BMS, that even though the charger is putting out 12 amps, one battery, I think the Super Shark pack, was charging at maybe 2 amps, and then the other one was charging at like 9 point something. So in combined, I guess it adds up to about 12. So but why is it that one battery charges at 1 amp and amperage, and the other one charges at a different amperage?
So they splitting charge in a way how big each other is. So you can't, if you charge it, if you have 50 amp hour battery and you have 10 amp hour battery, it's going to be 5 times difference between charging. Yes, because you charging them evenly.
Oh, okay, 5 times. Yeah, 10 and 50. I got you. Yes.
5 times differences.
I got you.
So if you're pulling 2 amps into smaller battery, in 10 amp hour battery, let's say, and you have 10 amp hour exactly, that's the number.
Yeah.
Exactly, you have around 10 amp hours. This is molysolating 650, very small battery down there.
I didn't do that on purpose, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but
Coincidence.
I realize now. I realize now. So what's happening? Smaller battery, 10 amp hour battery, taking 1/5 from the charge. The other battery that is 5 times bigger, taking rest. That's why you have that balance in order to fully charge. And batteries, it's like a two bottles when you have them connected. When you're sipping into one, you're filling up both of them evenly. No matter if you're charging only one, if they connected somewhere, they filling up evenly.
Awesome.
So that's the thing what happened with you. Also, you mentioned when you almost fully charge with the battery,
yes,
battery slows down.
Yes.
So again, when you filling up the bottle and you want to make sure to fill up exact amount or fully bottle, you slow down even with the water, right?
Yeah.
You're doing fast, and then as you almost done, you're slowing down. So when we're charging the battery, and when battery is fully charged, when you charge battery, let's say 72 volt, fully charged is 84 volt. As soon as 84 volt touches, BMS cutoffs from the charging. What's happening in next 10-15 minutes? We say that resting voltage. So instead of keep on 84, resting voltage goes down on 83. And if you fast charge that, that resting voltage is going to be 2 volts. So you fully charge on 84, like let's say fast, 12, 15 amps, 20 amps, and cuts right away, stops on 84. Soon as it stops, it's going to start dropping down. It didn't have time to charge up because it reached that voltage before actually battery is fully charged. And then you're gonna have 2 volts. That's why BMS slowing down on the end. Some chargers existing, or like charger that we're using in our shop, has that last 15%. I said that 15% slow recharging, aside of the BMS as well. But that's the purpose. Slow charge just to have time to charge up all the way. Because worst thing that you can do is overcharge the battery.
Right.
Whenever I see that someone say that has 84 volt, like after charging, I know that that battery was overcharged a little bit before, and then resting voltage gets onto 84. That's bad for the cells, because you can see on data sheets of the cells 4.2 is maximum. If you go above that, what you're doing, you're messing up with internal resistance, increasing that. Internal resistance of the cells is already increased while you're having fully charged battery, but if you're overcharging, you're messing up even more. And what can happen, it can start heating up the cell if you pass 4.2 volts, and it can start fire. That's again, this is connected again with safety and BMS. Why is BMS important? Because BMS monitoring every single cell group. Again, 72 volt as an example, has 20 groups, 20 serial connections inside. Each connection has a group of cells, 10 cells, 5 cells, 12 cells, depends. We call that P, parallel connections. So in that case, BMS monitoring each group, BMS charging whole pack, but monitoring each group separately. So from 250, 240 cells, let's say, or 200 cells, every 10 cells in the group or 12 cells in the group, BMS monitoring, making sure that everything is good. So if happened by any chance that one of the groups while we're charging goes higher than the other group, as soon as any of those groups hits 4.2 volts, BMS cutting off from charging. Why? Because if you keep charging, let's say you have one group 4.2 volts, and all 19 groups rest you have, let's say, 4 volts. If you keep charging while those groups are reaching 4.2 volts, the group number 20 that had 4.2 first, that group is going to be higher. It's going to be 4.4 maybe,
Right.
which means fire. That's why it's very important with to have BMS on the battery. Also, when you're discharging, by data sheets, maximum or minimum voltage that has to be down there in the cell is 2.5 volts. So what that means, when you're draining your battery, again 72 volt, 2.5 times 20, it's 50 volts. So if you go up under 50 volts with the battery, you're damaging battery. Again, damaging battery. That's why BMS has cutoffs. In our case, we're making cutoff like 2.6 volts per group, and to get back, to start back again to work, we're giving, like after you charge, 2.7 per group. So that gives us around 54, 55 volt battery cutoff.
Which is good.
Which is good. So we could go up to 50, but we are afraid that sometimes user will go on the ride, go all the way on the 55, 53 volts and leave the battery for a month. Then battery can drain down below 2.5 per group or 50 volts for whole pack, and then cells can be damaged.
Right.
So that's the reason why we don't want to have that, and we cutting a little bit earlier. Some companies cutting on 3 volts, so pretty much 60 volt they consider empty. We giving 55. Why? Just because when you hit the throttle, as more is empty battery, you having bigger voltage sag. Let's say you're pushing 350 amps from your battery.
Why are you pointing at me when you say that?
Because you're doing that. So when you're pushing that, when it's fully charged battery, you have voltage sag 2-3 volts, maximum 3.5 maybe in that situation. But if you're trying to pull same amount of amps, but you are almost empty on like around 60 volts, you're gonna have 4 or 5 volts, maybe 6 volts voltage sag. What that means, pack is tired, taking hard, long time to pick up that. Same thing, we doing exercise, lifting up weights, right?
Yeah.
And then in beginning you're good, you're fast, you can do whatever you want, and then time between you pushing, it's quick when you're fresh.
Right.
When you're tired, taking a little bit longer time. That's that sag in voltage for the batteries.
I liked your analogies.
That's why I'm trying to talk like language that people understand.
Like
Those
the
things.
boiling, the 100 degrees Celsius.
Yes,
Can we show some BMSs?
of course.
And
always.
is it safe? Why do they call them a smart BMS?
Because it has Bluetooth connection, so I can set each parameter on the BMS what to take care on the battery, even including temperature, including discharge rate, even charging rate, maximum charging voltage, minimum discharging voltage. So all those parameters, we set that. We don't like when we're going on a blind. Let's say you have battery BMS on the battery and it's already preset from the factory. What in case if factory made some mistake and it slipped, we didn't pay attention to something, or because it sometimes is very hard to see all the situations. So if we do all the tests crazy, like charge, discharge, ride, it will take too much time and we don't know even what's wrong. Even that kind of BMS cuts off us. If, let's say we skip one cell group to weld or any problem, or customer using battery for a year and damage the battery, and when he has a problem, nobody knows what's the problem. Even we open the battery, we searching for the problem, we can't find the problem. When we have smart BMS, we connect on the BMS, it says what's wrong right away. It says it's a temperature sensor, is the temperature high for the battery, even has log file, so we can see, created short circuit 3 days ago. 5 days ago, created short circuit, overcharged, over discharged, all those informations BMS carry inside. Sometimes we had situations, I remember one customer got battery for like 2 weeks, range extender, and we explained that he need to fully charge both batteries or have them at the same voltage and connect. So he followed that part, but it was thorough, and he flipped the polarity. He tried to connect, so he damaged the connector.
Short circuit.
Yes. So I tried to ask, okay, tell me what's happened. I see that BMS is acting up. MOSFETs for discharge are damaged, and I saw that happen short circuit, and it created like 400 amps on the short circuit. All those informations I have on the BMS, and I asked customer, and I saw also that BMS that the connector is burned. I asked customer, I don't know what's happened. And I said, look, I don't want to give you a hard time. I will repair this on our cost. It's not a big deal. It is. It's our cost. But we will do it because you're new customer, whatever. You know, we don't want you to have bad experience with us. So we'll do it, you know, to make you happy. And then we fixed. He started with his story that he didn't do anything wrong. I said, okay. Then a week later, he brought his other battery from other company with burned connector. And I said, what's happened? And he said, when I tried to connect the other battery, that's what happened. And then I realized that he swapped, because I had also his old connector. And then I realized that he made short circuit. And I asked, did it happen spark when you plug them together? He said, yes. And I said, you remember I asked you what's happened? Why didn't you tell me that? And he said, like this.
Like a child that get caught.
Yes, but it's very important for me. What we always trying to do here, we're trying to educate enough customers that they know what they're doing. Same thing when they're looking for the battery. Our goal is always that they understand what kind of battery giving what, so that he can decide what he needs. Because on the end, you're gonna use your bike. It's important for you to understand. You need more range. You need more power. Tell me. It's important for you to understand. So then I explain. For the range, let's say you're doing deliveries or whatever, we can do this kind of battery. If you want to power, you want to hit some crazy speeds, torque, acceleration, then you need different kind of batteries. So it's very important that people understand what they need. It's always benefit of having high discharge battery. It's always benefit. But again, sometimes we can have more amp hours in lower discharge lower discharge battery. It's always about what someone needs.
Right.
And it's important that people understand. 325, 550, 800, 1000
Amps?
amps.
Amps? 1,000 amps?
Of course.
Oh my God.
I saw some comments, not on your video, somewhere on social media. I don't know, is that Reddit or Facebook or somewhere. I don't spend too much time on those social medias networks, but sometimes, you know, I read what people talking, and if I can help, I kick in. I even don't mention myself, who I am, just give some advice and I move on. One guy says that he doesn't like to use BMS because BMS giving voltage sag. Can you imagine that?
That's funny. BMS is a culprit.
Giving voltage sag, BMS giving voltage sag. In my head, like if you have right BMS, there is no voltage sag because of the BMS. If you have wrong BMS, you can fry the BMS. Yes. You can overheat the BMS. Yes. But no voltage sag. Voltage sag is from batteries, from cells. So it's up to you what you're creating. So bypass BMS, no. That's it. Proper BMS and move on. That's all.
Battery blenders. Why don't you use battery blenders, man?
Because battery blenders, it's one more device in the system that can make a problem very often. What that means, First thing, battery blender, I don't know pricing because I never was into that too much. I think 30 amps battery blender is like $100. Next one is like $100, 100 amps, like couple $100. Something big like 200-300 amps is like $500-700. So that's why battery blender, I don't see use for high discharge batteries. Absolutely, that's first thing. Another thing, battery blender is made when you have two different battery voltages, and then I will also use a battery blender when you have two batteries where they have two different ports for charge and discharge, and then battery blender makes sense. But in our case, we have battery that, because all these BMSs, they can do charge and discharge through the same wire. They can do same thing. So it doesn't matter which port we pick, we charge, we discharge. Doesn't matter. Just you need to make sure that you have thick enough wire that you can pull enough amps or charge enough amps. That's all. In some other batteries, like I would say, how do we call those batteries? We call generic batteries. They have usually some cheap small BMS that they have separate charging port from discharge port. So what that means, when you're discharging port, most of them they have internally bypass. So when that happen, you can't charge through the discharge port. In that case, when you have two batteries and you need to charge them separately because they don't have common port for charging, then my suggestion, go with the battery blender. When you have battery with one battery with different charging and discharging port, and the other battery is, let's say, our battery that supports charge discharge to the same port, I would suggest you connect them together and charge to your main battery. In that case, you don't need blender again, because your battery, if it's something happened wrong with your battery, it will cut off. If something happened with our battery will cut off herself. So either way, you're safe. That's why we're not using battery blenders in our systems. When you have two of our batteries, each battery has separate BMS protecting each pack. You don't need blender. Only one rule: make sure that both batteries are the same voltage, or easiest way, what we say to our customers, fully charge one, fully charge the other one. Make sure that you have, let's say on stock battery, when you fully charge, check your display, is it fully charged by the voltage. Charge ours, connect them together, and you're good to go. They're draining together. When you're charging, you charge through your stock battery and you have no problem. You can use on our battery as well charger, but slower amps. Even our batteries can take fast charging, like 10 or 12 amps they can take. But you have, let's say, Shark Pack stock battery that has bullet connector on the side. Bullet connector, even if battery can take more charge, bullet connector can't. So bullet connector can do 4 or 5 amps. I've seen so many people trying to include 6-7 amps charger on the bullet connector, and they ending frying that connector. So it's important to be on top of topic when you're doing battery work. That's why we had a couple, actually one guy, we explained to him how it works, but I think he's afraid what he's doing, and he badly wants to have blender, which absolutely unnecessary, because also benefit of adding our battery together with your stock battery, because your stock battery is gonna be resting. It's not gonna push too much. When you have blender, and let's say you have two different voltages, you fully charge one battery, the other one you leave on the half. That's good to have blender. But again, what you're doing with the battery, you discharging one battery at a time, and what that means, one battery is always under stress, and maximum what you can give is 30-40 amps for a regular blender. So when you have two batteries, they're splitting that load. Even if you're pulling 30-40 amps, they pull 20 amps from one 20 from the other one, together 40. Or if it's our battery bigger, from our battery it will take 30 amps. From your stock battery it will take only 10 amps. Again, similar what you asked in the beginning of the video, how those batteries, one charging 2 amps, the other one 8, 9, 10, whatever, same thing, they discharging, same way. Which battery is more stronger, that battery pushing more. If we go push car, one guy is stronger, he can lift 500 pounds, the other guy can lift 100 pounds. So when they lift together, of course, guy who is stronger, he's gonna pull more pounds than the other guy. Same. It's classic physics. It's important that people knows what they're getting, what they're doing. It's very important. More people knows the stuff, better for everyone, because they can spread also right word. And don't believe always on social media. The other day I saw some guy posting, he's saying, oh, I'm ready, I can make some cables for you guys, like splitter cables, whatever. And he used 4-gauge wires, battery wires, and then after that he soldered, instead of crimping, soldered like an audio cable or 8-gauge, and that 8-gauge he soldered on XT92 connectors. First thing, XT90, it's rated up to 80-90 amps. 8-gauge for the battery is rated up to 300 peak amps, which audio cable cannot do that. It's not same as battery cable. So try, be careful. Like so many people doing different kind of stuff, trying to do, they thinking that they know something. Even us, sometimes stuff that I know, I read again about some stuff to see how it works. But you know, trying to find in like real books what's the ratio for something, not just someone giving you a comment or. It's very important to have true information how something works. It's important. It keeps us all safe.
100%. Buy reputable. That's all I say.
And then these guys mentioned, oh, why buy $100 cable? I can do its material is $20 and I don't know, 20 minutes of work. And I made comments, all those problems that you have on the cable, that's why you probably find somewhere similar cable for $100. Even we don't have that cable, so I don't feel intimidated like that he telling me something, because I'm not in, he doesn't know even who I am, but he posting on the groups and offering that kind of job, which is very dangerous. You know, I'm always support people effort that when they're trying to make something, new products. I love that, but just follow the rules, like make it right. That's it. My thing is always make it right.
Safety first.
Safety first, but make it right. Like whatever we're doing, let's make it right. It's important for everyone. Less headache for us. You safe as a user, customer. Great. Like feeling is nice after that when you do proper way. Sometimes cost more, but you have right thing. Less problems in the future.
Peace of mind. You can't put a price on peace of mind.
Absolutely. Sometimes people thinking, let me get this, it's cheap, but in the long run it's going to be way more expensive.
All right, B, so like always, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Until the next one. Oh, can we talk about salt?
B, when are you gonna open up a merch store?
Excuse me? How often you are on our website?
You have a website?
It's on our website like 6, 7 months, 8 months already. Our merch.
I didn't know.
And people buying that, even like we have nothing with that directly, because a company taking care on that, like on all hoodies, whatever. They shipping right away. That people always asking, how can I get shirt, I can get this. So that's our intention. Let's have it someone, and then it's good, because sometimes for us it's hard to maintain that all of that stuff, so I like it because someone else taking care of that and providing to customers.
So now anybody,
me.
so now anybody can play with real power.
Yes.
If they get one of your shirts.
Absolutely.
Santos, what are you doing?
I'm gonna make a purchase right now.
What you working on?
Assembling some battery.
They when I first got into YouTube and this e-bike journey of mine, I tried doing something called e-bike community spotlight, whereas I would highlight a particular member within the community and talk about them and what they do, or the impact that what they're doing is having with our community. So I am leaning on trying to start up e-bike community spotlight again,
With
but
Santos?
I need a good subject.
Santos?
The subject that I had in mind,
Coffee?
the subject that I had in mind is somebody. Thank you so much. Is somebody that has a really big impact. I want to start this one off with a bang. So the reason why the camera's on you is because I want to know, would you be interested in doing an episode of e-bike community spotlight?
Problem is, it can cut. It can break. No, it can
Yeah, I know,
break.
that's what I'm saying. You can see stuff too. Knock it out.
That bearing made that.
It's too rough.
Fuck. Oh my god.
Bearing made that.
Arvin,
Made those marks?
you came in on your day off.
Sitting on one side.
For me,
Got an hour.
for me, God damn it, she's back.
Yes, sir.
All right, so what happened? What did I
The bearing is crushed.
the bearing is crushed.
Oh, bullshit.
Now how do bearings get crushed? Is it because they're cheap? Like the quality is cheap?
Well, that too.
Does it matter that the bearing just slips right in there? They're not pressed in? Does that play any
Well,
role?
it's better to have the press fit.
What is that?
That's your what's it called? Shim on the back. Oh, no shim. How they call?
It's a spacer wheel spacers.
It's damaged. But why this happened? Because this
That's
guy stock, and that's
All the
grinded
bearings?
this.
All the bearings broke
It's crushed.
inside.
You're lucky that you made it here.
What would have happened?
That thing gotta get 6
But what would have
up.
happened to me? It would have locked up?
It
And I could have flipped?
I believe I can fly.
He said it.
No, I believe you can fly.